Part 93. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 927. Don't everyone know about this? When Tao Ran said this, the eyes of the woman opposite him almost popped out of his head. And the surrounding area suddenly exploded. The represented everyone looked at each other and asked the people around them if they knew. This community is a residential community for women. 3 of the 10 families knew each other, and most of the rest were familiar with each other. When they heard this, everyone immediately started talking about it. Tao Ran's face showed a similar sarcastic smile that the woman had that night. Women always slander her and her mother-in-law everywhere, so she has to fight back, right? Watching TV, such news always gives housewives a thunderbolt, and this aunt should be no exception. She had let herself lose people so many times. This time, Tao Ran deliberately chose the time and place, and chose a time when everyone was at their leisure and when there were the most people. I hope this aunt will focus more on her own affairs in the future and stop worrying about other people's affairs. Tao Ran's words made everyone's melon-eating mood instantly double. Everyone, including the woman opposite, had almost completely forgotten what happened between the children. The expressions on the woman's face are wonderful. It was indeed a bolt from the blue. She was also furious and furious. Besides, she was a little panicked. What the girl opposite said is true, or is it slander? But even if it was false, she couldn't bear the fact that it was spread all over the place. Is she shameless? How can she live here in the future? She rushed forward regardless of the pull. Little girl, do you know that it's a crime to talk nonsense? Just be careful, I'll call the police and arrest you. Regardless of whether it was true or false, she had to shut up the girl. But Tao Ran just wanted to get rid of the secret and make it known to everyone. How could he be afraid of her? I'm not talking nonsense. It's true. Auntie, don't you know? Many people know about this, she was still sure. I'm not afraid of you calling the police. The police will know if what I said is true or false as soon as they check it. Who did you listen to? Your mother-in-law. She committed a crime and will be arrested. Do you understand? It was your mother-in-law who taught you what to say, right? She asked you to spread rumors. Where is your mother-in-law? Where is she? The woman looked around. Auntie. What are you talking about? How could my mother-in-law know about such a thing at such an old age? I heard about it. And just now, someone was talking about it here. Everyone saw it? You walk around the community every day, haven't you heard about it? Tao Ran said this on purpose. People come and go here, who knows who? So what if she was talking nonsense? Just like that night, this woman fell down and hit the porcelain on purpose. Who can prove it? Just like time and time again, just because of this woman's words, didn't the others believe that she was not good? The woman was stunned and her face turned red. She panicked. Her husband, could he really, not be able to? But in the past 2 years, he has indeed often come home late. She glanced around subconsciously, and she felt that among the people around her who were talking and watching the show, there were really many people who knew about it. She was a little devastated. Tao Ran, I have also seen him and that aunt. They were at XX Hotel and XX Pedestrian Street. If aunt doesn't believe it, you can ask the police to investigate. By the way, that aunt is very beautiful, younger than you, taller than you, and fairer than you, speaks softly and softly, nothing like you. Tao Ran was neither hasty nor slow, categorical, and spoke without any guilt, like a knife, making it almost difficult for the woman to accept. The woman was about to cry. Tao Ran stepped forward. Auntie, please call the police. This can prove what I said. It can also prove that it was your child who bullied me and beat me just now. I also want the police to give me justice. Taoran glanced at the little girl who was still acting cowardly. Your child is uneducated, so he should be educated by the police uncle. Finally, this time, it was this woman who took the child and fled. Taoran had been bullied so many times, and every time he regressed in tears. This time he finally did the opposite. At this moment, she felt happy. She returned to the swing, swinging higher and higher. She was quite comfortable. Everyone's whispers fell into her ears, saying that this family was indeed nothing. Let's not talk about the younger one, but that woman is domineering and overbearing. Last time she and the neighborhood committee aunt got into a fight over the cleaning fee. The man is not a good thing either. He looks smiling, but in reality he is full of tricksters. In fact, there are quite a few people in the community who know about the man outside. At this moment, the chatter spread quickly. 20 minutes later, someone was saying that Xiaoai's father and mother were fighting. Xiaoai's mother checked the man's cell phone, called Sanur and uttered all kinds of ugly and dirty words. She never expected that Sanur was her man's boss. Sanur was furious and called the man directly to tell him not to go to work tomorrow. After that, one of the two felt that they had lost all face and had made a mistake in their life, making a big fuss. The other felt that the future was gone and the future was gloomy. It was all because of women's ignorance of the general situation. The two started fighting when they disagreed. The neighbor went to start a fight but was also beaten. At this moment, there was a big commotion. Taoran then jumped off the swing and left in a happy mood. That aunt, you won't have time to put your eyes on her in the future, right? That little sister, you won't dare to provoke her again in the future, right? Really? A few days later, Taoran met the mother and daughter again after school. But the mother and daughter acted in unison, bowed their heads, and ran away again. Compared with the pleasure of finding trouble, they are more afraid of being embarrassed. Later, Taoran didn't see that family again for a long time. I heard that they moved away because they were embarrassed, to the other side of the city, and the little girl also transferred to another school. They didn't get divorced because the woman had been a housewife for many years and had nothing to do except a sharp mouth and a strong personality. The woman couldn't live without the man. The man was exposed because of his scandal, and he was convinced that the woman did not dare to divorce. Instead, he intensified his behavior and stopped even pretending. The focus of a woman's life is shifted to the man. She is checked and followed every day. The two of them argue every 3 days, and their life is not good. After Taoran heard about that, he didn't take those two people to heart anymore. During that time, Granny Hua fell ill. Because of the twists and turns some time ago, and also because it was too hard. Taoran was particularly anxious. She was afraid that she only had her mother-in-law as a relative, and she hoped that her mother-in-law would live a long life. My mother-in-law is getting older and older. How can she let my mother-in-law work so hard to earn money? And her mother-in-law was also afraid that she wouldn't be able to take care of her for a few years, so she desperately wanted to buy her a house and save enough savings for her to go to college. That's why she works so hard to make money. Such contradictions made Taoran very distressed. Even though she is young and underage, she can still try to do something for the family. But what can she do? The point is, what can you do to make money? Does it have to be an above-board one? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 928. Taoran, who stayed by her mother-in-law's bedside in the hospital, often received compliments from strangers like "she's so beautiful." And this is also the adjective that she has been praised the most since she was a child. That day, another aunt praised her, "The little girl is so beautiful, she should become a movie star in the future." This sentence happened to hit Taoran's mind, who was thinking about what to do in the future. Be a star? She didn't care. But as we all know, being a star can make a lot of money. The stars on TV and in illustrated magazines are all dazzling, and they look very rich. Then she wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. She suddenly became enlightened. Why didn't you think of that before? Perhaps being a child actor is the best way to make money in a formal way. It's great to be an actor. If you can appear on the screen, Granny Hua will feel honored, and people around you will no longer look down on them. Tao Ran entered the bathroom and looked at himself in the mirror. It was okay. Last time, in the Xiao community, she didn't have stage fright and made everyone trust her. Is this considered a talent? That time she just practiced by herself the night before. She successfully deceived several grandparents into believing that Xiao had pinched her. Or could she try? Tao Ran looked in the mirror, laughing and crying. She thought it was okay. The question is, how can she become an actress? 2 months later, after much attention, she finally found an opportunity. She saw on TV that a movie directed by Wangda had started shooting, and the filming location was in the next city. Taking advantage of the weekend, she got up early, bought a bus ticket with her private money and went there. At that time, no real name was required to buy a ticket, and there was no age requirement for traveling. She got on the bus smoothly. It was the first time for her to go out alone, so she was naturally scared. But she went there with a goal in mind. Thinking about her mother-in-law's body, she worked so hard. What right did she have to not work hard? She was brave and knew that there were bad people in society, so she got on the bus and sat next to the conductor aunt. After more than an hour's drive to the next city, she bought the latest return ticket. Yeah, at 7 o'clock in the evening. She has already told her mother-in-law that she will go to the teacher to make up lessons today, so she will come back late. During this time, she often went to make-up classes, so her mother-in-law had no doubts at all. In order to seize the time, she took a taxi to the shooting base. In the early years, the fandom culture was not that exaggerated, and there were no such things as illegitimate meals. General TV and movie shootings did not cause much sensation, so the security level of the crew was not as high as it is now. The filming location was a remote film and television city. Tao Ran bought a special ticket with his student ID and went in. But when she entered, she realized that the film and television city was not small. She walked for half an hour and couldn't find the film crew. She was always brave, so she called the cleaner and said, "Auntie, my dad is here for filming. I just called him to turn off the phone. My grandma asked me to deliver medicine. Do you know where the crew is?" Wherever the cleaning lady would be on guard against a child, she immediately pointed it out to her. "Go from here and go straight along the path in front. After passing a row of old social houses, there is a circle of old houses. You can see it when you walk over." Tao Ran thanked him and ran over there immediately. This was her first time approaching the industry and seeing a TV shooting scene. There is a rope around the perimeter to prevent people from entering. But how could a mere string of consciousness stop her? She got inside without anyone noticing. But she was soon discovered. "Such a cute kid, what are you doing here?" a man came over. Tao Ran was panicking, but she didn't dare to show it on her face because she was afraid of being kicked out. So she deliberately didn't look at that person, for fear of being found guilty. She simply looked around. "Wait for my dad." "Oh. Is your dad a staff member here?" "Yes." Looking around, there are more than 100 staff members in this area. Including extras and regular actors, the total number of people must be more than 200. People were coming and going, it was so busy, who knew who? "What's wrong?" Tao Ran felt confident, seeing that this guy with a playful smile couldn't possibly be a big boss, so he pointed at her with his arrogant little look. "No, it's nothing," the man chuckled. "Who is your father? I can help you find him." "Who are you?" "I'm an extra." Tao Ran's heart moved. I want to wait for my dad to finish work, so I won't look for him yet. Acting as an extra is what she also wants to do. How about trying this uncle first? Man, then who is your father? Taoran told herself to calm down again. Dad told me not to tell strangers your identity information casually. This is what her mother-in-law often warned her. She has no parents, is pretty good looking, and has been talked to a lot since she was a child, and she says this often. The man smiled and stopped asking for trouble. Oh, then I'll find a place to sit first. I'll go too. Taoran followed directly. What are you going to do? I'll find a place to do my homework, Taoran blurted out. Then she discovered that the more confident she was, the less likely anyone would doubt her. The uncle not only nodded, but also let her follow him to a hall where the extras were resting, and cleared a corner table for her. It's noisy here, so stay here in the corner. After the assistant director comes to select the actors, there won't be so many people. As he said that, the man also brought her a bottle of pure water from the door. Go get it after you finish your drink. The toilet is next door. Uncle, is the assistant director responsible for selecting actors? That's right. The person in charge of casting for our crew is Director GE. Do you know him? Have no idea. Stinky girl. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. The man patted Taoran on the head and left. Taoran took a notebook and pen from his skull bag and pretended to write a composition, but in fact he was listening to the chat of the extras. Then she knew it was a drama about the Republic of China. There was no protagonist scene today. We were filming scenes with male and female partners. The role is not heavy, but it is very important for the advancement of the plot. It requires 2 large scenes, so there are quite a lot of extras today. After a while, a middle-aged man rushed in. The next set of fighting scenes requires 20 people. The others are waiting for use. A group of people stood up, and Director GE quickly ordered 20 of them to leave. Taoran quickly collected his skull bag, followed the assistant director and the group in front of him from a distance, and then arrived at the venue for the next scene. Since we are still preparing, there are not many people here. Taoran waited for a while Director GE made arrangements for the 20 people, gave a brief introduction to the play, smoked another cigarette and prepared to leave. Taoran followed him, then ran a few steps to stop him. Uncle, do the crew need any young actors? She smiled cutely. Director GE was stunned for a moment, then looked around. Whose child? I'm here to recommend myself. Taoran thought of her mother-in-law, and even though she was timid, she mustered up the courage at that moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 929. The assistant director was happy. Where did this little brat come from? She is very beautiful, smart, and quite brave. Kid, where are your parents? There are many people here. Do your parents know that you came here? Uncle, I want to act. Please give me a chance. Taoran knew she couldn't say that she didn't come with her parents, and she didn't want to lie, so she could only emphasize her purpose. She had heard in the extras hall that extras didn't need to sign a contract or apply for a household registration or anything like that. They just had to go through the motions and they could take the money and leave. So if this uncle stops asking about her background, she can make money. Kid, how did you get on the set? Uncle, I really want to act. Kid, this is a workplace, you can't come in to play. Uncle, ask someone to take you out. Xiao, come here. Uncle, please. Seeing the assistant director calling people over, Taoran became anxious and his eyes turned red. I heard that you are in charge of casting, give me a chance. I will definitely perform well. Director GE was stunned again. He heard this often, but he didn't expect it to come out of a child's mouth. He is often asked for roles, but this was the first time he was asked for a role by a child. After a second, he laughed. But, we don't have a play for children today, and we don't need children in a group play. So there is nothing we can do, Uncle can't help you. Okay, you go back. The assistant director was very busy and asked the staff member named Aya to take Taoran out. Taoran originally thought about flattering this Aya, but who knew that this Aya was a violent and serious person. She felt very annoyed and kept complaining that she was almost too busy. She almost pulled Taoran and couldn't help but speak out. Taoran didn't dare to resist, so he could only follow her and leave the set. But Aya didn't let go. After confirming that Taoran came to the park alone, she directly pulled her to the exit of the film and television base park. I have to arrange the props for tomorrow, so I can take you away just in time. Auntie, I can walk by myself. Don't worry if I take you with me, but don't let me step away and you run in again. Taoran panicked now. That's exactly what she thought. If she leaves the park, doesn't she have to buy another ticket to come in? She didn't want to waste the money. Seeing that he was getting closer to the exit, Taoran became serious. Auntie, don't go too far. Please let go of me. The aunt glanced at her. What? Little girl, suddenly so tough? I bought a ticket to enter the park. I entered your filming location accidentally. But I didn't do anything bad and didn't affect you at all. Now that I'm out, I promise not to go in again. This park is not yours. It's owned by my family, so you have no right to deprive me of my right to visit the park. There's so much nonsense, I don't have time to talk to you, so I'll send you to the park security room to explain. I do not want. It's not up to you. Then I'll call the police. Taoran put his hands on his hips. What? Aya's face turned dark. The last time she was so arrogant and wanted to call the police, it was a group of paparazzi who came to take secret photos of the male and female actors. I'm here to write a composition. Taoran took out the composition book again and shook it off. I want to write about the winter scene in the park. If you don't let me stay in the park and drive me away, I won't be able to finish the composition. Then I can only ask the police for help. Let the police decide what I did wrong and what laws I broke. I can't even visit the park. Aya's head suddenly got big. If the police were called, a trivial matter would become a big deal. She couldn't be scolded by the director and assistant director. It is possible to lose your job directly. Both the male and female protagonists love to show off their big names. Last time the paparazzi came here just to capture the news. Didn't this directly give the crew a handle to show off their big names? No, no. Does she deserve to have to deal with a little brat? What else could she do? Aya had no choice but to give Taoran a good warning and then left. Taoran took a deep breath. Aya was afraid that Aya, who kept looking back, would find her going back again, so she had to take another road in the park. After going around in a circle, she returned to the set. Aya said she was going to arrange the props and she would definitely not be back for a while, so Taoran was reassured. This time, she went directly to the filming location of the next scene where the extras had just been taken. It seemed that the assistant director could no longer be found, so Taoran planned to find the director directly. In the entire crew, the one with the most say should be the director. Take it one step at a time. Anyway, here we come. With the round-trip ticket plus entrance fee and taxi fare, she must not come in vain. At least get the money back. She planned to go to the filming location of the next scene and wait. However, this crew is very efficient. When Taoran came back in the past 40 minutes, filming has already started. People come and go. Taoran walked in with his head held high as always. As before, the more confident she became, the less anyone cared about her. We are busy filming and the staff have their hands full. When he saw her, he just thought that someone's family members and children came to visit the class on the weekend. Taoran looked at him for a while and then locked his eyes on the person. She had done her homework and instantly recognized this man who had been featured in magazines and interviewed many times. This is the great director of this movie, the very famous director Wang. Director Wang is losing his temper, not to the extras, but to the two supporting actors. This scene is about a brother and sister whose family offended a gang of gangsters, so they suffered revenge. The gangsters burst into the door and smashed it, and the whole family of the supporting characters got into trouble with them. At this time, director Wang was yelling at the lead actor. Emotions, don't understand if emotions are not enough. Your house was smashed up? What was your reaction? Are you just angry? Where's the pain? Does it show? My requirements for you have been lowered again and again. You don't need to be complicated, and I don't ask you to show any eye contact. But you have to be fearful first, then weigh it, and then resist in desperation, and then be angered. What should be the reaction? Are they all eaten? How many times has it been done? How many times has it been done? Do you know how to act? Think about it for yourself. After the director bared his teeth at the male co-star, he turned to the female co-star, and you, where are the tears? I don't ask you to cry at the first moment, but at least you should cry before the end of the scene, right? I have time, it's limited, so it's impossible to reshoot the crying scene for you later. The director threw the script aside and sat in his chair angrily. Think about it all and take a 5-minute break. When he turned the phone on again after 5 minutes, Taoran, who was standing in the corner, shook his head secretly. No wonder the director was angry, the acting was really bad. These days, anyone can act. Taoran heard the staff whispering too. It is said that this actress was brought in through connections, and the few dramas she acted in before were also very awkward. The actor took leave last night to attend a dinner party and only rushed back this morning. Director Wang felt that he was not dedicated and in poor condition, so he became even more angry. Director Wang had a very bad temper. He stood up, kicked over the stool, and went out to smoke. The staff didn't dare to say anything. The male supporting actor lost his temper and pushed away the makeup artist who was helping to touch up the makeup. The female supporting actor just started to cry. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 930. When director Wang came back, most of the staff stayed away from him for fear of being affected by his anger. Taoran knew that she couldn't be as impulsive as before and rushed to find someone to act in, so she thought of being more natural and familiar with him first. Seeing director Wang walking up and down the corridor behind the set with his hands behind his back, she gestured to grab an apple from her school bag. With a slip of his hand, the apple rolled to director Wang's feet. Who the hell? Director Wang scolded directly. The filming progress was not good, the actors were not dedicated enough, and someone actually ate at his feet. But as soon as he started scolding, he saw that a child had already picked up the apple, bowed to him and said, "I'm sorry." How could he get angry when a teenage girl was so polite? "Uncle, do you want to eat an apple?" Taoran took another apple in a zip-keeping bag from his bag. "Uncle, this is clean and can be eaten." Taoran was very well behaved. "No, thank you." "Are you the staff member's child?" The director couldn't help but pinched little Taoran's face. This little face is really beautiful. Especially those eyes, clear and spiritual, extremely bright, like gems, but shining with a calculating light that is different from her age. It's interesting. As far as his ability to read people is concerned, if this little girl grows up for a few years, she will definitely be as beautiful as the two actors in their drama. Taoran guessed that he would ask, "Uncle, I dare not say. My family's conditions are not good, and my mother has passed away. I have nowhere to go on Saturdays and Sundays, so I can only follow the crew. Uncle, I don't make trouble. Can you not ask so many questions? This is not lying, right? She talked a lot and seemed to give a lot of information, but actually said nothing. But the director felt that he understood. He laughed. This little girl is still smart and clever. It's a pity that I'm a little young. Otherwise it would be a good seedling. How old are you? Less than 11. Taoran wanted to say 10.5 years old, but after thinking about it, she reported it higher. Uncle, this apple is for you to eat. My mother-in-law said that if you are in a bad mood, you should eat something sweet. Does he know that he is in a bad mood? Director Wang's lips curled up. Actually, you came here specifically to bring me apples. Taoran nodded. I see you're angry. Taoran thought for a moment and then simply expressed his opinion. Uncle, I just watched a piece of filming. The problem is indeed quite big. Oh, a 10-year-old child can see the problem? It was hard for him not to want to hear it. He simply took a bite of the crunchy apple, motioned for Taoran to follow, and then sat in front of the monitor. The manager of the male and female partner is already waiting here and wants to say a few words to his artist. Director Wang motioned them not to speak yet and let the children speak first. Tell me, what was the problem just now? It's good for everyone to listen together. Taoran, I'm just guessing, and I might be wrong. I don't know if it's right or not. Just let me know. I saw that there are no elders in this family in the set, so I guess it's a brother and sister who depend on each other. When bad guys come to the door, smash them. It's furniture, actually. Taoran replaced herself and that night that was still fresh in her memory. Actually, what they destroyed was the brother and sister's home, but for the brother and sister, this home was not only their support, but also the place where they relied most, felt the most secure, and contained the best memories in the world. What they smashed was probably the brother and sister's hope, their future. As you said, my brother's reaction was too little. His family is gone, his beautiful memories are gone, his hope is gone, and his future support is gone. He feels sorry for his parents and his sister. He should try his best to rush forward. He should have exploded. He should protect this family even if he dies. So does my sister. Seeing her home gone and her brother being beaten, she would probably do her best to protect her brother. My brother is her closest relative, right? Anyway, I think my sister definitely shouldn't stand there and remain motionless. Taoran buried his head. She meant these words. Otherwise she couldn't tell. Just like that night, when the city management confiscated the items from their wonton stall, she chased the car all the way through the heavy rain. If the uncle next door hadn't caught up with Granny Hua and grabbed her at her shouting, and if Granny Hua hadn't been worried about being taken to the police station, she would have definitely continued to chase her. Director Wang was stunned. He didn't have any expectations for what the child would say, he just wanted to impress the next two managers and let them know that their artist's acting skills would not even be appreciated by an amateur child. But the little girl was so surprising. Not only did she say something that neither the male or female supporting characters were willing to understand or think about, but the little girl also cried because of it. Is this included? So emotional? Haha, that's ridiculous. The female protagonist can't cry and has already used 2 bottles of eye drops, right? Worse than a child. He was so angry. Look, Director Wang motioned to the female supporting agent. After taking another look at Taoran, Director Wang immediately signaled to the camera director, asking him to direct a camera lens towards Taoran's face. On the monitor, there was a zoomed-in expression of Taoran. She was still deep in emotion, with tears welling up in her red eyes, full of unwillingness. Tears did not fall, but it was such forbearance and restraint that made her whole person so vivid and infectious. The director also felt her sadness and pain, which made Director Wang stand up immediately. He was a little excited. There are two kinds of actors. One type of gifted person is God's gift of food. That's probably what this little girl is like. In addition to this very photogenic face, she also has another great thing, the contagiousness of her emotions. This thing is very mysterious. When some actors get emotional, even if the audience only watches for a second or two, they will automatically take over or be emotionally aroused, and then be infected. The actors cried, and the audience also cried. The actors laugh, and the audience giggles along with them. This kind of actor is almost 1 of 100. This little girl has great potential. Director Wang calmed himself down and sat down again. Little girl, what's your name? Of course Taoran was more thoughtful. I dare not mention my last name for fear of being asked for my father again. Have you read the script, so you are so familiar with the content? Taoran shook his head. Then who taught you the analysis you just made? Director Wang felt that this little girl who suddenly appeared may have been trained by someone. No one taught me. I figured it out on my own. It was just my thoughts after watching their performance just now. The director was dubious. He looked around, but couldn't find anyone in the dark who was particularly concerned about this little girl. He called his assistant again and whispered to find out whose child it was. If this child has no one to teach him, then he is really a good bud. Beautiful, smart, clever, good at reading, courageous, photogenic and able to use her brain, this. Thank you all for your monthly votes, and thank you for the rewards from the sweet and unknowing babies. I love you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 931. It was already noontime and the lunch box was delivered. Director Wang called for lunch and brought Taoran a box of lunch. Taoran shook his head. Not hungry. No. Taoran took the bread from his school bag. She prepares food for the day when she goes out in the morning. I brought food. Eat something warm. No. Why? I don't want to lie about food or drink. She has told many lies. If she is used, she will eat the food. But now, she is pretending to be a staff relative or friend. She felt that if she continued to eat and drink here, she would become a complete liar. So she returned even the bottle of water that her uncle had given her before. The little girl is quite principled. But uncle also ate your apple. Eat some food. Taoran still shook his head. The apple is a prop for her to get close to this uncle. She didn't really mean it. Thinking of this, Taoran quickly finished the bread in his hand and smiled at the director. I'm stuffed. Director Wang looked at this special child with even greater interest. I'm sure you haven't read the script before. Because you are mistaken. This family is not a brother and sister dependent on each other. They also have a paralyzed grandfather and a lost brother. It's so miserable. So, Taoran lowered his voice, if you put it this way, their performance was even worse. Tell me. So my brother also has to protect my grandfather, because when my brother comes back, they should be more protective of their family. If it were you, how would you act? Maybe, I will be very excited. No, if they come to the door, I may beg them in various ways, begging them not to do anything. If they don't listen, I will probably be very excited. Taoran didn't know if now was a good time, but she felt like she couldn't hold it in any longer. She doesn't want to lie anymore. Because sooner or later it will be exposed. Uncle, I want to act. Is there any role that can be given to me? She still expressed her request. I will work hard, I will not be lazy, and I will achieve the results you want. The director was stunned. So suddenly. And the little girl's shining eyes were filled with sincerity. At this time, the director's assistant came over. He quietly informed the director that while he was eating, he went to make inquiries and found that no one on the staff brought children here today. Kid, Who are your parents? Which staff member are they? Director Wang asked again. Uncle, I came here alone. My parents are not here. Chaoran was a little panicked. But I didn't lie to you. I actually never said that my parents were staff. Director Wang was stunned again. Think about it, she really didn't say anything? When I asked myself before, the little girl only said that she didn't dare to say it. It seemed that she had misunderstood. Director Wang couldn't help but let out a laugh. Have you been tricked? Being led into a ditch? By a child? At this time, Assistant Director GE was holding a lunchbox and wanted to talk to Director Wang about the afternoon shooting. When he saw Chaoran, who had his head lowered and seemed to be being lectured by Director Wang, he immediately jumped up. Why is the little girl still here? Didn't you ask Aya to take you out? I'm sorry, Director Wang, this little girl is a tourist and broke in on her own. I will take her out right now. Chaoran panicked, stood up quickly, and quickly bowed to Director GE, saying sorry, and then begged Director Wang that she didn't want to leave. Director Wang ate her apple, so he shouldn't drive her away, right? As expected, Director Wang waved his hand first, signaling to the assistant director to be calm, and then looked at Chaoran with a smile. Tourist. This little girl is actually a tourist. He was actually secretly happy in his heart. With such a big crew and so many people, this kid was able to move around in it with ease. He was very courageous and very clever. More importantly, the tourist child means that she cannot know the content of the script in advance. The analysis she just said is really her own opinion. This is a teenage boy. Being so insightful, smart, expressive, principled, and infectious, this child was such a surprise to him. Chaoran bowed to the two directors again. I want to act. I came to the crew to recommend myself for a role. These words made all the staff happy. This really doesn't sound like what a child would say. Chaoran told the truth about how she returned to the set after she first approached the assistant director but was refused to leave. When everyone heard that she came by car from the next city, they all marveled at the child's extraordinary perseverance and courage. Director Wang, you really want to act? Yes. I really want to. I want to be a top actor. But you have also seen that it is not easy to become an actor, and it is even more difficult to be top. How do you know you can act? Do you have acting skills? I don't know, but I think I should be good. Chaoran thought for 2 seconds. I didn't say anything when we were on the bus, but just by my words and deeds, the uncle driver thought I was a child brought out by the conductor's aunt. When we took a taxi, I was so calm and skillful that the driver thought I was coming to the park to see my father and chatted with me for a while. The cleaning aunt in the park believed me and pointed out the location of the crew. The extra actor uncle believed me, took me to rest and took care of me. Even the director uncle believed me. I am a child brought by the staff, right? Actually. Chaoran glanced at the assistant director. Actually, if I hadn't revealed that I was here to get a role, the assistant director wouldn't have known that I was a tourist. So I think I still have some potential as an actor. Even if I'm not good at it, I'm still willing to learn. As long as uncle gives me this opportunity. The director nodded and pointedly looked at the agents and assistants of the leading actors in the crowd. See? Some people work hard to eat this bowl of rice, but some people waste opportunities again and again. Attitude, in a certain sense, is exactly the quality that an actor needs most. There's no reason why a professional actor can't do something that an amateur kid can do. Some people, don't lower your prices, you'll end up worse than a child. Some people quickly conveyed what I said, that's what I meant. If you still can't perform, you can give up your position as soon as possible. He felt that the timing of this kid's appearance was just right, which would at least give him a chance to beat the other actors. Director Wang touched Chaoran's head. I have one more important question. If you answer it, I can let you live like a little actor. You say, why do you want to be an actor? Director Wang has asked many people this question. There are various answers, probably divided into three types. Most people will answer, realizing life ideals and achieving life goals. But each of the 360 lines can be answered with this answer: insincere and empty. What about after becoming an actor? Are your ideals and goals realized? Like when he doesn't play a good role as a male or female partner. Therefore, in Director Wang's opinion, this is the worst, most empty, and most essential answer. Compared to this answer, Director Wang even prefers an answer like, I want to make a lot of money. At least it's true and reliable. People who only think about making money will at least work hard, and are at least better than fake people, and better than those who just want the fame and halo of a star. Director Wang really wanted to know what this girl who looked like she had a lot of ideas would answer. But Tao Ran was beyond his expectation. She answered exactly Director Wang's favorite answer. I will use my own efforts to change my destiny, Tao Ran answered after thinking for a few seconds. She wants to change her social status and the status quo, so that no one will bully them anymore, and to make her mother-in-law no longer worry about money, so that she can spend her old age peacefully. I want my life to be meaningful, to make the mother who gave birth to me and the mother-in-law who loves me proud of me, and I also want to protect my mother-in-law. Director Wang chatted with Tao Ran for a few more words. Then he said, you just made a good analysis of the plot and characters. So, I want to see what you would do if you were also the daughter of this family and evil forces came to your door. Director Wang was already moved. This little girl seemed to have a malleable talent, and he was willing to take some time and patience to test her. Even if she can't act, as long as he can confirm her previous appeal, sense of involvement or aura, he will probably give her a chance. Don't be afraid, act with confidence and boldness. If you want to be an actor, show your uncle how capable you are. In this way, Tao Ran got an opportunity. Director Wang selected 3 actors. 2 acted as bad guys and 1 acted as the brother to support Tao Ran. He was afraid that Tao Ran would be nervous, so he even dispersed some of the staff. In fact, Director Wang didn't have much hope for this trial show, but the effect surprised him. All the emotions that he had asked the actor for but not seen came out in the child. The child was timid at the beginning, then gradually filled with fear, then mustered up the courage to hug the ruffian and begged, and finally yelled and punched him. The whole performance turned out to be natural. Although it is not advanced, it is not deliberate at all, but is very smooth. The little tears were streaming down her face, and she was so angry that she still cried and begged. The child's longing but slim hope is in huge contrast with the cruel and indifferent reality, and even a deeper sense of oppression and suffocation emerges. The performance given by the child was so contagious that all the actors watching were moved with sympathy. Many people had sore noses and started to twitch. This was something that Director Wang did not expect. Thanks to the professional actors taking over the scene with the child, otherwise the scene would have fallen to the floor. He didn't shout, and the 2 villain actors were also led to show the villain's abomination, and their attacks on his brother were exaggerated and vicious. A villain was carrying a stick and was about to beat his brother. The trapped girl resisted to no avail and bit the villain directly on the arm. The villain actor subconsciously let go, and the little girl rushed up to block her brother, crying profusely. Director Wang was right, Tao Ran's appeal was so outstanding, her emotions directly caused the young actor who played the brother to shed tears and grit his teeth, with cruelty in his eyes. Click. Then he shouted stop. Then he motioned to the assistant director, show the video just now to the 2 main actors, let them see how the child acted, and see if they are embarrassed. Director Wang personally took a tissue and gave it to Tao Ran. Kid, you did a great job. Right? Tao Ran has been congratulating himself on his good luck. This scene is so similar to that night. So she can put herself in it all at once. Just now, She closed her eyes and took 2 deep breaths. When she opened her eyes again, it was as if she had returned to that night. The bad guys suddenly came, but she just wanted to protect her home and her family. As soon as the emotions came up, anger, unwillingness, hatred, sadness, and collapse came one after another, the effect presented was her truest emotion. "Uncle, can I get an extra roll?" She didn't have time to wipe away her tears. After apologizing to the actor she hit and bitten, Taoran only wanted to know this one thing. "I want to be an actor. I want to be the best actor I can be." Okay, director Wang replied to her with just one word. He clearly saw the firm light shining in the child's eyes. That kind of thing is called faith. This is an essential element for a person's success. But unfortunately, there are very few people in this world who have this thing. Even if you don't look at the little girl's talent and other advantages, this alone is enough to impress him. There is no little girl's role in Uncle's script now, but it's not a big problem. You can add it. You go back first and leave an address. Uncle will find someone to contact you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Uncle, is it true? Really? How could Uncle lie in front of so many people? But Taoran was a little anxious, fearing that the director would just coax her. Aren't the extras ready to be paid as they go along with the filming? Why do you have to wait until the day after tomorrow to contact me? I can come directly tomorrow. Be obedient and trust Uncle. I will contact you later. With that said, Director Wang also asked the assistant director to give Taoran a business card. Soon the afternoon play started, and Director Wang asked Taoran to go back first. But she said that she didn't want to disturb anyone, she just wanted to sit quietly and watch the filming. She promises to be good. Seeing the longing in her eyes, Director Wang couldn't bear to refuse and made an exception to let her sit aside. Probably because of the excitement of the children, the test shooting in the afternoon went very smoothly. The female co-star finally cried, and the male co-star was much more emotional. But Director Wang was still dissatisfied, so he skipped the scene and went directly to shoot 2 outdoor scenes. Taoran stayed in the corner throughout the whole process and was very quiet all afternoon. She tried her best to absorb knowledge about all the shooting, from actors, makeup to lighting props, and from time to time she picked up a pen to jot down a note in the composition book. With a touching performance and the approval of the director, Taoran received a warm greeting from everyone in the afternoon. Many brothers and sisters gave her snacks, and even the female supporting sister also sent a snack. Director Wang observed her secretly and found that the little girl was not at all complacent because of this. She resolutely did not touch the food and drinks that were delivered, just like she did with the lunch boxes. I am very principled in not touching things that I get for nothing. In the evening, Taoran bid farewell to the crew. Director Wang asked his assistant to arrange for a driver to take her back to a neighboring city, but Taoran refused. She took out her ticket. The director became more and more satisfied with her. This little girl is still organized, prepared, and well planned. Director Wang insisted that the driver take her to the station, and asked the driver to take her to the long-distance bus, and arranged for her to sit behind the driver. The driver also stuffed her with 100 yuan, saying that it was Director Wang who asked her to take a regular taxi home directly after arriving at the station. Taoran said that he failed to make the film, so he refused to accept the money. But the driver persisted, saying that the director told her that because of her scene today, the co-stars were much more excited. She had done a great job today, so she was paid according to the daily salary of an extra who had lines and roles. Money. Only then did Taoran accept the money. 2 chapters in 1. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 932. In the days that followed, Taoran waited for contact from the crew. The next day, no news. The third day, the fourth day, still nothing. Taoran was disappointed. She was cheated. She regrets it. On Sunday, she shouldn't be waiting for news at home, but should go to the set for another day. It was another Friday, and Taoran decided to go to the set early on Saturday morning. But as soon as she walked out of the school gate, she saw the person she had been thinking about for a long time, Assistant Director Ge. He and his uncle, the driver who took Taoran to the station last time, were waiting for her outside the school gate. "I thought you wouldn't come. I was supposed to come 2 days ago, but Director Wang said that the final exam was coming soon, and I was worried that it would affect your study if it was not a weekend, so I waited until today." Taoran is happy. "Thank you uncles for the trip. I can finish my homework today and go to the set tomorrow. There's no rush. We went to your school and asked. You have your final exam next week. You can go to the set after you finish the exam." "Ah, isn't she just an extra character? Why bother? Did you come to her school specifically to ask? Then uncles are not here to pick me up." Taoran didn't understand at all, so what were they doing here? Assistant Director Ge has been here for a while. They went to the school to find Taoran's class teacher and asked about Taoran's academic status. They were satisfied to learn that she had both good character and academic performance. Of course, they didn't tell the story about Taoran breaking into the crew last week. They just said that the crew was looking for a suitable actor. They saw Taoran by chance and thought she was full of energy, so they came to ask. Then they learned a lot about Taoran from the head teacher, which was basically consistent with the child's own statement last time. They were even more relieved when they saw that the head teacher spoke well of their children. "The main reason we came here this time is to meet your mother-in-law." "Why?" Taoran was nervous for a moment. Her mother-in-law didn't know that she secretly went to the set. To sign a contract, a guardian is required to act as his agent. Don't extra actors need to sign a contract? "Silly boy," Director Ge rubbed Taoran's head. "If she was just used as an extra, why bother? Last week, the supporting actors and actresses got emotional, but Director Wang didn't want to film anymore." At that moment, they knew that Director Wang had other ideas. Sure enough, Director Wang organized a meeting with the producers and screenwriters that night. At the meeting, 2 sets of Taoran's short films were played, which also caught the attention of producers and screenwriters. "Director Wang, do you believe that these are all one-liners that have not been rehearsed and directed? How long have you not seen such a catchy newcomer? There are not many actors with spiritual energy and infectious energy, and even fewer actors who convey emotions through their eyes and performances. You also know that the strength of the male and female partners is there. Rather than letting this explosive plot be in danger of being delayed, it is better to divert the highlight of this scene. It's better to let this kid lead the performance of those 2 people." The producer was the first to nod. Her eyes and nose were sore just now. When young actors are used well, it is indeed easier to move the audience's emotions than the leading actors. She just wants the audience to come to her head. When it comes to children, audiences are more likely to feel compassion and are more tolerant. The 2 leading actors in the scene both stepped in, and there was only one child. And she heard that because of the appearance of this child, the leading actors in the 2 scenes this afternoon cheered up, so it would be a good idea for this child to stay and encourage them. Director Wang was still saying good things to Taoran. "There are so many shining points in this little girl. When you were as old as her, you didn't have such great pursuit and perseverance, right? You wouldn't be so active in striving for opportunities, right? I was moved. Give her a chance." The producer laughed. Director Wang said that, so of course I nodded. "Since you asked us to come, you must give the little girl more than just 1 or 2 scenes, right? Otherwise, as a director, he would just make the decision. Director Wang, I want to add a character to it, one with a name and a surname that can be included in the cast list. With the little girl's acting skills, it would be a pity to only be an extra. Let her take the lead in the scene that needs to explode. Director Wang looked at the screenwriter. It shouldn't be difficult, right? It's not difficult at all. It just makes sense to use the role of a child to push the conflict further. That's it, Taoran has a role. Happy arrival. Of course it is also the result of her own efforts. This is how her first drama came about. When my mother-in-law got off work and saw guests coming to the house, and heard about the director's purpose, she thought he was a liar. But Director Ge not only presented the contract, but also said that he had arranged a hotel in a neighboring city, and she was welcome to visit the set now. Taoran clearly told her mother-in-law, "This is what I want. But you have to go to school. Mother-in-law, I promise you that it will not affect my studies. But you know my body, and I don't want to spend my whole life in school like this. I want to cherish my time even more. She only has 24 years in total. If she goes to school smoothly and graduates from college, her life will almost be over. Not only was it a waste of money, it wasn't what she wanted. If I really only have so many years, I hope I will live them wonderfully." Taoran held her mother-in-law's hand. "I hope that my name will be known to others, instead of being like a piece of dust that disappears after death. I want to become a star, so even if I die, you can see me in another way. Many years later, there will be people in this world who will remember me." Granny Hua has nothing but love for Taoran. Naturally, she can only give her full support to whatever the child wants to do. In this way, the contract was finally placed in front of Taoran and Granny Hua. As for the salary, the tentative 5-digit figure made Taoran's heart almost jump out of his chest. This number is the salary of Granny Hua's current job for 3 years. Tens of thousands. And the payment is made first. During the following winter vacation, Taoran stayed on the set. Except for the 3 days during the Chinese New Year, she stayed on the set the rest of the time. In order to take care of Taoran, Granny Hua had no choice but to quit her job. This is what Taoran hopes. Taoran didn't have many scenes, and they were filmed in 5 days. But she wanted to study, and there was an acting teacher on the set, so she just took classes there for more than 10 days. Who wouldn't like a child who is humble and talented? The screenwriter wrote 2 more scenes for her and arranged an ending for her to die in that indifferent world. This is also what director Wang meant. Taoran's first drama, Only B, makes people more heartbroken, unforgettable, and regretful. She was beaten to death on the street in the snowy field with biting cold wind, and her blood stained the white snow red. What she could not forget until her death was that home. The scene where her last tear fell on the snow and fainted into a circle before she died became a highlight of the movie. And Taoran's tragic ending has become the biggest regret for all viewers who have watched this play. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 933. Like the previous audition, the much talked about death scene was just a substitute for Taoran. It wasn't the first time she had envisioned this day coming. When she imagined that her 24-year-old self was suffering from illness and had to leave this world, how could she not worry about her mother-in-law? How will the mother-in-law in her old age grieve after sending away 2 generations of children? Taoran burst into tears as soon as he thought about the scene. The effect was naturally touching. She was overachieving. The entire set, even the minor actors, remembered her name. When Taoran finished filming and left, both the producer and director Wang said that they would contact her if a suitable role came up in the future, and because of the 2 additional scenes, Taoran received an additional compensation of 10,000 yuan. A month later, Taoran received another audition notice. It was director Wang who recommended clips of several of her scenes to several old friends in the circle. Director Liu happened to be preparing for a movie, but he couldn't find a candidate for the role of a daughter. He has interviewed hundreds of kids and still hasn't found the right one. The main reason is that this role is quite difficult. I grew up in a single-parent family, my mother remarried, and my father is an alcoholic. The child needs to take care of himself and his father. The whole person must have a simple appearance but a story in his eyes, and a special sense of melancholy, alienation and loneliness in his temperament. In addition, this role requires a lot of dramatic tension and delicate handling, which is difficult for professional actors, let alone children. In addition to the difficulty, there are also many scenes. In terms of gender, this child character is almost a female protagonist. So it's important. After watching several scenes of Chao Ran, director Liu became very interested in her. That weekend, Chao Ran took Granny Hua on a plane for the first time to audition for a show in the imperial capital. She auditioned for 4 scenes. On the 3rd day after returning, she received notice that she had been selected. A dedicated person contacted them and understood their needs. Soon Chao Ran got the complete script, and only after Granny Hua helped her sort out all her scenes did she realize how heavy the task was. The contract was sent quickly. Includes food, accommodation, and air tickets for both grandson and grandson. During the filming, the crew will also provide Chao Ran with a dedicated assistant to help her arrange all her living and filming needs. All conditions are very good. Of course, the most important thing is that the salary this time is more than 200,000 yuan. Seeing this, both the grandfather and grandson's eyes widened. So many? Based on this alone, Chao Ran vowed to win this drama no matter what. The filming start time is at the end of May, and Chao Ran's scenes have been coordinated to start filming during the summer vacation. But because of the heavy role, she had to undergo 3 months of professional acting training. The crew sent a teacher to come to her door every weekend to teach her acting skills. For this, Chao Ran was very grateful and cherished this opportunity. She studied very seriously. After arriving in Beijing during the summer vacation, Chao Ran started shooting. After a week of practice, she got better. The acting teacher had already analyzed this character called Jia Jia for her. For the sensible and precocious Chao Ran, she was very able to understand the character's emotions. In particular, that kind of loneliness, fear, and delicacy are exactly what Chao Ran inherently possesses. This made her act much more comfortable. She regarded herself as Jia Jia and became that sensitive and delicate child. She is really talented, and she was very lucky, and the 2 roles she encountered were suitable for her, so her play made the director very satisfied, and he often praised her behind her back for accurately grasping all the characteristics of the character. In early August, Chao Ran's scene was completed. Chao Ran then took Granny Hua to have fun in the capital for a week. They were not in a hurry to go home because in mid-August, the drama they filmed during the winter vacation just entered the promotion period, so director Wang invited her to join the crew. Chao Ran heard that increasing her exposure in this way would help her get roles in the future, so she immediately accepted the offer. During the promotion period, you have to face a lot of media every day. As a special person in the publicity team, Chao Ran is asked questions by reporters every time. Director Wang would always be full of praise for her and shield her from difficult questions. He even called himself master several times. During a reporter's visit to Director Liu's crew, Director Liu actually considered himself Chao Ran's second master and highly recommended her. At that time, Chao Ran didn't know how much having 2 famous mentors would help her future. During those days, the 2 masters also took her to participate in several circle activities in the capital, asking everyone to take good care of her in the future. She didn't understand it at the time, but she was so ignorant that she was brought into the Beijing circle that many celebrities couldn't get into, the most powerful circle in the country's entertainment industry. This makes her position in the circle very different from that of ordinary actors. She also has 2 masters to protect her, and most of the people who come to her are for good reasons, and ordinary insults cannot get close to her. It took her a few years to understand the good intentions of the two masters in naming themselves master in order to cultivate her. As soon as her exposure increased, the beautiful and energetic Taoran immediately received an invitation to work in a TV series. But the two directors and masters unanimously told her to turn it down. Said that her starting point is very high, she must maintain it, and she must move up step by step. During National Day, director Wang's film was released in theaters. The movie was a hit. Tao Ran's name is not only popular in the circle, but also in the hearts of moviegoers. After the National Day, many classmates in the class asked her for autographs. She became the star of the school. She received several offers for TV series and movies. She rejected all the TV series and asked the masters to help her check the movies. During the winter vacation, Tao Ran once again took on a big movie. The main theme of the Beijing Circle only has 3 scenes, but it adds a lot to her. Her name stands behind a number of first and second tier stars. Since then, Tao Ran's drama appointments have not stopped. In the May 1st slot, director Lu's movie will also be released. Although it is a literary film, it is destined not to be too high at the box office or have too many audiences, but it got Tao Ran a nomination for Best Newcomer. That year, Tao Ran's name was included in the Best Newcomer nominations for almost every film award on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. And she got one of the awards as she wished. The Golden Trophy made Tao Ran's name completely popular. She became the youngest ever recipient of the award. Film critics in the industry also spoke highly of her. She blushed. Various bonuses came one after another, her salary doubled, her fans spread all over the country and abroad, and every script she got was better than the last. When he was 12 years old, Tao Ran welcomed his first heroine. Completely different from the previous characters. The character is cheerful, confident, lively, proud, and even a bit arrogant, but she bravely challenges herself. Although that movie didn't win any awards, it made her truly one of the most popular actors in China. This was Tao Ran's path to fame. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 934. Chapter 934. As mentioned, I am in a bad mood today. I have been angry all day and I really can't calm down. XX You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 935. Tao Ran was very lucky. She met Bol from the beginning of her dream. It is also because the starting point is very high that the walking is fast and smooth. Coupled with her own hard work, she encountered almost no major setbacks on this road, which made her become the brightest star in the industry at a young age. In the long run, the changes in her and Granny Hua's lives actually stemmed from that night when the wonton stall was lost. Everything she wants to do and can do has been done. Those who bullied her and her mother-in-law also received the lessons they deserved. In a certain sense, Tao Ran was actually quite grateful for that night that changed everything. If she hadn't been bullied, she wouldn't have made the determination to change her life on her own. So, she may not necessarily go into acting. Even if she could still meet director Wang, she would not have any painful analysis or audition, let alone express her desire to change her destiny. Director Wang would not be able to add a role to her. Therefore, sometimes Tao Ran is very grateful for that night that remains fresh in her memory. Because of this, when this plot appeared on the 70th floor and the system pulled her into this memory, she just watched it indifferently and had no intention of changing that night. So this illusion given by the system has no impact on me. I have no regrets and will not sink, she told her assistant. Tao Ran arrived at the 71st floor. The plot here is actually connected to the previous one. Ahead, another baby's cry could be heard. Intermittent, vague, and from time to time, it makes people's hair stand on end. Tao Ran walked towards the cry step by step. The scary feeling came back. It was dark and humid, and the ground was covered with a layer of green moss, which was a bit slippery and sticky when stepped on. The nose was filled with an unpleasant musty smell, which seemed to be a little sour and rotten. The light gradually dimmed, but the baby's crying became louder and louder. Very quickly, it was almost impossible to reach out. Tao Ran took out 2 flashlights and a helmet with a miner's lamp. This one was found in bag number 266. It looked good, so Tao Ran accepted it. The light is bright and the sense of security is doubled. A wall appeared ahead. Make life difficult for. But there is only this way. If you want to walk over, do you have to deal with this wall? After Tao Ran looked carefully, he found a faucet on the wall with a depression on it. She tried to break off the faucet, but it couldn't move. At this time, an NPC appeared out of nowhere and startled her. "You are the warrior selected by the mayor, right?" The NPC soldier bowed to her. There is a legend in the city that has been circulating for 999 years. It is said that this place was once cursed by a doll. Every 100 years, the evil spirit of the doll will appear again. If it cannot be suppressed in time, every 100 years, the evil spirit of the doll will appear again. Come to bring disaster and plague. At least half of the entire population of the city will be affected by the disaster, and at least a quarter of the population will die. This year has happened to be 99 years since the last curse. If the warriors selected by the mayor this year cannot fight against the evil spirits, then next year, the city will face a huge disaster. Oh. So warrior, you carry everyone's hopes. Okay. Did warrior see that sign? The NPC is pointing to the upper part of the wall. When the light shines through, it can be seen that there is a small plaque that looks like copper on the wall that is almost 4 meters high. NPC, as long as the warrior gets that card and puts it into the dragon head depression, the wall used to seal it will open. The warrior can go on a glorious and sacred mission. But how to get that bronze medal? Tao Ran's expression changed after some observation. What are you afraid of? She finally knew why there was a Warongdeo game before. Co-writing was just a warm-up before, but now it's getting serious. A few years ago, there was a game called Moving Parking Space, in which vehicles of various sizes were moved horizontally and vertically to allow the target vehicle to exit through a small opening. The game in front of you turns the various vehicles in the game into blocks that can move left, right and up and down, and the target vehicle is the bronze medal. As long as you find the right path with the appropriate arrangement and combination, the bronze medal stuck at the top will naturally fall down. It's so high, how can I move it? The movable wall was too high. Tao Ran stood on tiptoe to reach the bottom row of blocks, and the target copper block at the top was at least 4 meters away. The NPC motioned Tao Ran aside. It turns out that in the corner, there is a console that is half a meter in size and resembles a game board. She tried it, and as long as she moved the wooden blocks on the console, the wooden blocks on the wall would also move. The system task tone also sounded. Time is tight and the task is heavy. Players are asked to complete the challenge within 15 minutes and get the pass. If the challenge fails, the punishment wheel will be opened. The penalty carousel is also very intimate and shows off. Among them, penalty points only occupy a very small space, and the rest are various penalties. Compared to before, there was a large area of restricted area. Once drawn, the player will be randomly locked in a small dark room ranging from 2 hours to 2 days. The game has reached the second half, and ranking is becoming more and more important. Time is the most wasteful thing. So the best way is not to enable punishment. Feeling completely unsure, Tao Ran pressed the start button. Then she quickly tried it on the panel. In 1 minute, she successfully made the bronze medal fall to the bottom, but it was in the bottom corner. Stuck in a tight corner. Dead end. This is in the corner, how can we move it out? She was about to cry but had no choice but to press the reset button and start the challenge again. It took another 2 minutes and still no solution. Taoran is very self-aware of himself. Just her? 99% of the time there was no way she could solve this problem in 15 minutes. Why should she waste her time on this meaningless challenge? The countdown was still going on, and Taoran felt that if she didn't want to start the punishment, maybe she could just try another method. She looked at the NPC next to her, then clicked the screen again and read the mission content. She murmured to the assistant, "The task content is only 1 sentence, and you have to get the brand within the specified time. There is no prescribed method for solving the problem, right?" The assistant scratched his head, "Yes. I didn't say anything." Taoran, "Since I didn't say it, it's a bug in the system itself. No matter it's a black cat or a white cat, as long as I remove that card, it's a good cat. I've already had the experience of catching copper leaks in the system before, let's give it a try." But does sister have other ways to solve the problem? Of course. Does it count to reduce 10 with 1 force? Although I don't know if it can be done. But she wanted to give it a try. Taoran flipped through the system backpack and first exchanged ordinary daggers for high-end daggers at a ratio of 10:1. Taoran got the dagger, grabbed it and stabbed it towards the playing surface of the wall. The effect is minimal, this dagger is not very effective. So this dagger needs to be upgraded. To upgrade a high-end dagger to a top-level dagger, you still have to exchange 10 for 1. The assistant said the cheating exchange rate. But sister's ordinary daggers are not enough. You can only get 8 high-level daggers at most. There are still 20 ordinary daggers left. Then what are you waiting for? Start the lottery for me as quickly as possible. Taoran looked at the time, and there was still a countdown of 10 and 20 seconds. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 936. Taoran started the lottery mode. Originally, she was planning to upgrade her assistant after she passed the 70th floor, but now she has just upgraded. 8,000 points were thrown away. Aren't they just 20 ordinary daggers? Apart from the trumpet, the ordinary dagger is the prize with the highest probability of being opened. Of course it's not difficult. It was too time-consuming to open them one by one, so Taoran directly chose the system to draw 100 times. She asked her assistant to ignore other rewards and punishments for now and wait until she completes the level to sort out the situation. He would help her collect the daggers and synthesize them as soon as possible. After 300 draws, the assistant announced enough. So the lottery was suspended, and the 2 high-level daggers were combined with the previous 8 to make a top-level synthesis. Later, Taoran got a top-notch dagger that was shining with golden light and sharp edges. The dagger at this time is tough and resistant to damage, even if the hair is blown off, the whole blade is shining with a cold light. It is absolutely a good knife. Taoran glanced at the time. There were only 9.5 minutes left in the countdown. She grabbed the dagger as quickly as possible and flew out. Right? Her purpose is simple and clear. She wanted to climb the wall, and then dig out the bronze medal directly from the stuck wall. Isn't this the most direct way? Who told the system to be unclear? Who said the system notes have loopholes? The system didn't say that it couldn't be accessed by force through the wall. It's none of her business. Who told this shabby plot to be set in classical Europe? Who said that the system wanted to be close to the plot so much that the background walls used were all antique? There was no reinforced concrete at that time. So when Taoran was tapping the wall just now, he found that the game boards were all made of wood, and there was a click sound when he hit them. This is great. So, as long as she has sharp enough tools and enough strength to pick out the bronze medal, is it easy to win the bronze medal? She would rather use this stupid way to get through. Tao Ran held the top dagger and raised Black Cat's sensitivity and lightness skills to the highest level. Her first jump went up nearly 2 meters. Since the plates were movable, there were naturally concave gaps. Tao Ran stepped on the gaps and climbed up. Then he clung to the wall like an insect and began to pry up the plates and tracks stuck underneath the bronze medal. But she only worked hard for 2 seconds before sliding down the wall. It wasn't that she didn't stand firm, but that the wall suddenly shook. Tao Ran snorted. The assistant also sighed, "Is it so easy to take advantage of the system?" Tao Ran tried again. In the same way, he was thrown off the wall within a second or two. Fortunately, she had already expected that the system would not let her play such a clever trick. Tao Ran looked at the NPC and took out her mayor's order. She only used this thing once out of 2 opportunities to use it. "Brother, please meet the mayor, I need your help." Tao Ran walked around the NPC. The small body is really nice. The muscles are big and plump, and the breasts are bigger than hers. At first glance, she can be a qualified ladder. "Warrior, please speak. I want to ask brother to stand in this position." Tao Ran gestured to the middle position in front of the movable wall. "Then I'm going to use my brother's body to climb up." The NPC was speechless. "I'm afraid I can't help the warriors. The mayor's order is very useful. You can order NPCs to help, but it is expressly prohibited from helping the warriors perform their tasks." "Hey, brother, you're overthinking it." Tao Ran knew this rule, so he had already dealt with it. "I want to climb up, not to ask you to help me get the bronze medal." "But you see." The NPC followed Tao Ran's instructions and looked over, only to see that the 2 white gloves that Tao Ran wore to prevent slipping when climbing the wall were stuck in the concave gap. "I have to take out my gloves, right?" Ha! Just after going up for the second time, she found that the wall was shaking again, so she immediately stuck 2 gloves in, one on the left and the other on the right. "I want you to stand over and help me climb up." "I just want to get my gloves," Tao Ran said firmly. "This should be included in the scope of the mayor's order, right?" The NPC opened his mouth, speechless, and could only acquiesce, and then hesitantly accepted the mayor's order. "And now there are only 7 minutes left." Tao Ran deliberately asked the NPC to stand with his back to the wall. Seeing how considerate she is, the NPC brother doesn't need to embarrass her, and it's not considered a foul. 30 seconds later, Tao Ran started to jump up on the NPC's body. There is no need to put the focus on the wall and let it continue to shake, which will not have much impact on Tao Ran. There are only 5 minutes left. As soon as Tao Ran reached the high position, he began to chisel, poke, and dig. A minute later, a small piece of the wooden block under the bronze medal had been poked off by Tao Ran. Although she was still motionless, Tao Ran believed that as long as she was given time, her dagger would soon be able to find the point where she could penetrate deeply and pick out the bronze medal. The NPC kept urging him, and while Tao Ran was persuading him, he could only pick off one of his gloves. "Brother, please bear with me. I've already got one. It'll be ready soon. There's only one more left." 2 minutes later, Tao Ran finally made a big hole in the wooden block under the bronze medal. The dagger poked in and lifted up, and the bronze medal finally began to float on the surface. Tao Ran started working with both hands. Thank God. No more spinning the roulette wheel. She finally got the bronze medal with only 30 seconds left on the countdown. "Thank you, brother." She took the other glove and jumped down. She used the fastest speed to place the bronze medal in the depression of the faucet before the system and NPC could react. There are still 28 seconds left in the limited time. After a dragon roar, the wall in front suddenly moved away. A dark corridor appeared in front of them. A sign stood in front with the number 72 on it. All right. The raw rice is cooked. No matter what, she opened the door anyway, so the mission was considered a success. The NPC opened his mouth several times, not knowing what to say. Taoran patted him on the shoulder. You acted according to the rules, and you did not neglect your duties. Anyway, the door is open, so what can you do? So relax, little brother. But, you just called me eldest brother. Why did he become little brother after finishing the matter? The NPC boy said he was very depressed. Taoran didn't dare to delay and quickly entered the corridor. Almost the moment she stepped into the 72 brand, there was a ding. System message has arrived. Taoran chose not to look. Sister. The assistant shouted weakly. Her level has increased, and now she can actively contact the players she is bound to. Sister, there is system information, please take a look quickly. Don't look, Taoran vaguely guessed that it was not a good thing. So as long as she doesn't know, she can just pretend it didn't happen, right? But sister, I received a message here. If you insist not to read the message, the electric shock punishment will be started in 20 seconds. Depend on. Why is the system becoming more and more unreasonable and arrogant? Thinking that she was punished with electric shocks last time because she secretly tipped off Zhou Chang, Taoran had no choice but to turn on the screen. It's just that the last electric shock was too terrifying. The feeling of convulsions and paralysis all over the body, and the feeling of falling to the ground and shrinking into a ball and twitching was too fresh in the memory and unbearable to look back on, and she would never be able to do it again.